Heath Holme, hello and welcome to Up Close and Interpersonal. Firstly, thank you so much for coming on. It's been, some time since we were talking about meeting up to do the interview. Finally, you sat here with me in front of Esvedra. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, big thanks to you. And yes, indeed, we are here in February in 17 degrees
Glorious.
in the sunshine, blue skies, few Simpsons clouds around, but not a lot to complain about. And we're in front of one of the most iconic views in Ibiza.
Firstly, how have you been? How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Really good.
Excellent.
What was it like for a young Heath Holme growing up in Australia?
Yeah, so a young Heath Holme growing up in Australia. I was born and bred in Sydney in Australia, and my family moved from Sydney to Adelaide, South Australia when I was 3 years old. And it's in Adelaide, South Australia, where I essentially grew up, went to school and started my early working life there. And for those of you perhaps who don't know Adelaide, it's not one of the biggest cities in Australia. I think we're about fourth or fifth in size, but it's surrounded by beautiful nature like Ibiza and lovely beaches and the ocean.
Cool. Obviously, we're here to talk about music. Was you a musical child growing up? Did you have music in the family? Any instruments played, or was it just solely as you grew older you got into DJing?
Yeah, so there was definitely a musical seed in my family. I was very fortunate to grow up with a piano in my family home, and I did go to school to learn the piano, essentially, I think, around sixth grade of playing the piano.
Nice.
And yeah, growing up with a piano inside the family home, there was often some sort of cliched family jams around the piano, but yes, absolutely. I guess that was my first connection to music. Did start at a very early age.
Yeah. At what point did you get a taste of sort of dance music, as it were, back in the 90s, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, techno, house, electronic music. I got a taste for that back in Adelaide, South Australia as well. Once I reached the, legal or technically legal age to go out clubbing. It was with a bunch of mates that, as soon as I was able to do that, we were off out as punters, going to, all the venues around town and experiencing the DJs on the local scene. And also, despite Adelaide not being one of the biggest cities in the country, we did have some really great artists and DJs living in the city, and we also had visits from international guests. And I can clearly remember parties in sort of underground car parks with Richie Hawtin and Carl Cox and stuff like that. So
nice.
Inspiring stuff.
Very inspiring stuff. At what point did you decide to make the move to leave Australia? And I think you said you went backpacking around Europe, UK. At what point did you decide to do that?
Yeah, so 1996 is the year that I sort of went for the first time offshore, left Australian shores, and came over to the UK to start with, and intensively explored England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland, and then yes, ended up in after that in a sort of backpackers bus trip around a lot of the countries in Europe, exploring that. Really great times, to soak up all of Europe.
Super cool. Did you go back to Australia then, or did you sort of set up home in the UK, Europe, or what happened?
Yeah, it's a good question. I did go back to Australia sort of post my first big trip, which was the UK backpacking and Europe backpacking trip.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when I did go back, my parents and friends got the news that I'd got the bug for it and I was going to go back over. So I did go back to Australia for a moment, but it was a short moment. And the news that I was sort of passing on to those guys was that I was going to go back to the UK for a bit more.
I think you mentioned that you sort of stayed in Coventry. Was that your first city that you moved to in the UK? Or was it Bristol?
My near to Coventry was where I was based for the very first time working in the UK. So when I sort of started a stint of work in the UK, I was in actually a place called Stratford-on-Avon in the Midlands there. So Coventry's not far, as is Birmingham, in that area.
Yeah. And then sort of living in the UK in the 90s, I bet that was a really interesting time. As I did, I lived in, but I'm a bit younger than you. But obviously I can remember going out to the parties, the illegal raves, I can remember the clubs, certainly towards the end of the 90s. How was it for you being in that era in the UK at that time in dance music?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the UK in those times had many serious music festivals with all of a lot of the DJs that I looked up to and inspired me, and I consumed all of that as much as I could while I was in the UK. I went to Creamfields and Gatecrasher and Reading Festival, many of these famous iconic festivals, and they did nothing but light more fire in my belly and inspire me more to perhaps pick up this seed of electronic music, house and techno that had actually begun back in Australia.
Yes,
so just to point out the first connection to actually DJing and electronic music did actually begin in Adelaide in South Australia, playing, hiring essentially turntables and playing house parties for friends. And I can still remember like it was yesterday, the very moment that I essentially move from being on front and center on the dance floor, consuming the music, to being around and actually sharing and controlling the music for everybody else.
Was it right in saying that's your first gig, basically?
Yeah, it's an unofficial gig. But
you always remember your first gig, right?
Yeah, it was my first connection where I understood what DJing meant to me and how special it could be, and that I got the bug, as we say, at that moment. At
sure.
Very, very moment.
Sure, incredible. When did you make the move to come to Ibiza? Was it like I'm going to move to Ibiza, or was it I'm going to go in, dip my toes in for a season, and then what happened there?
Yeah, so I guess that time that I spent in the UK living and working and consuming all those festivals and going out, during that time I started to buy a vinyl collection, started to build up a collection of records. I also saved really hard and bought a mixer and a couple of turntables, so I was playing quite a lot, both practicing and getting a few little bar gigs and things like that in the UK. Whilst I was in that environment, I was always hearing about Ibiza, this magic place in the sun in Spain. And there's great publications during those times where we buy magazines, Mix Mag and DJ Mag, and they constantly were, showcasing what was going on over here.
Yeah. So your first season in Ibiza, what happened?
Yeah, so the very first season, it's a bit of a mad one, really. I mean, I did come out to Ibiza for a reconnaissance visit for one sort of bit of a summer season to see if it was for me or not before coming out to attempt to sort of live and work here. And it would be a long story to tell.
So essentially, it was a party season, right? The first season, or was it a working season?
To see if the place vibed for me, did I enjoy being here. There was the view that, because I had this experience of DJing in the UK at the time I then came to Ibiza, there was the thought behind maybe moving music from being third rung in the ladder in my life between studies and work up to the top. So the actual first summer season I did in Ibiza, DJing and playing out was definitely a part of what I wanted to do, but that was mixed with some promotional work for some big parties and DJs. Often you obviously want to get your foot on the ground and, just to arrive here and start DJing and being paid to DJ everywhere wasn't really an option. But I had prepared a mixtape of my sound, and I obviously went round and identified places I like to play and started handing that out. And believe it or not, I did actually play in Privelege, the world's largest club, in my very first summer on the island in 2004, which is a bit
That's
bonkers,
pretty impressive.
really.
Yeah,
did I expect
that
to happen?
What party was
Probably
that?
not. Yeah, something like, I think it was called Tunnel, Tunnel Trance potentially.
Was that the Cool Club, or was that Privilege?
It was then called Privilege. But yeah, essentially we got, it is a bit of a long story, so I don't want to keep you on it for too long, but I essentially played in the Coco Loco, which was a very famous second room. And we were second room to, I'm pretty sure it was called Tunnel Club. It was a night from Germany, built around sort of trance artists like, I think DJ Jean had a big hit around that time. And the funny thing is, we started in the Coco Loco room, and we basically pulled all the crowd into there, and they started to get a bit upset with us because everyone wanted to be in the room with us and not with the DJ Jean in the main room. Yeah,
cool. Well, now we've mentioned sort of clubs in Ibiza and, where you've played. I mean, first of all, that's incredible. Congratulations on playing in Privilege in your first year in Ibiza. Let's talk about the 10-year stint with Bora Bora Beach Club. I mean, 10 years as a resident for Bora Bora is pretty impressive. That's a whole decade of music to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, maybe more than that. What was that experience like?
Incredible, really. I mean, I'm very grateful for that experience. It's as I said, we have a phrase in Spanish, no tienes un precio. We don't have a price, and when I use that expression, it's like you can't put a price on the education I got there as a DJ. I have played had played there, particularly my first season, all day, all night by myself.
Incredible.
8-hour sets would not be
Vinyl.
unusual, and on vinyl, yes. And so I think I was speaking to you earlier about, that during that 10 years playing down there, I went through all the different transitions of how you DJ.
Mm-hmm.
So I began there as a 3-deck vinyl DJ, transitioned to playing CDs, all the way to the modern USB CDJs.
Mm-hmm.
So I experienced that, but yeah, incredible times, and extremely grateful for, also when I began playing there, it was the very tail end of the Ibiza 24-hour party scene still happening, with space across the road.
Yeah.
And I was plugged into that and playing.
Of course,
with that
you'd leave Space and go straight to Bora Bora.
Yeah, well, the opening and closings of Space during those years, all that crowd, there was a special sort of pulsera, a bracelet that you could purchase that allowed you to be in essentially 24 hours of the Space opening or closing, but you could come in and out as many times as you like. And all those people used to come down to Bora Bora for a bit of sunshine during the opening and closing. And so it went off during those times in Bora Bora for us, because we'd have the crowd come in and out. Well, let's go down, have a cheaper drink in the sun, party at Bora Bora, and then go back into Space.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but like 10 years, playing in any club, especially somewhere like Bora Bora, is pretty impressive. Some DJs come and go, but to be a resident of Bora Bora is pretty amazing. I mean, you've played along, in all the super clubs on the island. Like you said, Privilege. You've played in for events such as Zoo Project and any other super club, basically. What? It's difficult to ask you this question, because there's too many moments that you can say, this or that. But what is a defining moment, the one that you can just remember right now, that you've gone, actually, wow, yeah, this is really happening, and I'm really grateful and privileged to be in this position?
Yeah, I think there's an awful lot, but thinking back to seeds and catalysts again, to specific moments in time, I think in Bora Bora, when coming back to there, I think there's one key moment where initially, when I started there, in a lot of the earlier years, it was just us residents. And when I say that, the group of residents playing there were an incredible team of professionals with a lot of experience and quite high profiles in their own rights. We started to introduce like big names coming down there and playing. And I can think of two key moments, actually. One is that I was chosen to open up for Steve Lawler at a closing party, and that was sort of a defining moment, as it was the very first time we'd had someone like that officially playing there. And I got chosen out of a crack team of residents to do the job of opening the floor for him and getting it spot on before handing over. Yeah. That was a big...
And he's a lovely guy, Steve.
He's a lovely guy. But I did feel the pressure of that.
Of course.
But that then allowed me to,
Was that vinyl then, back in...
It wasn't vinyl at that point. I think it was the CDJ 1000 era, for those of you in the audience who might know those players. Yeah.
My first CDJs, actually, CDJ 1000.
Indeed.
Cool. So let's move on to... obviously, you've played every club in Ibiza. Let's move on to where Heath is right now. Obviously, we spoke earlier on about you giving back to the community that's given you a lot, essentially. It's given you a career. You're a coach, mentor coach. You're able to production coach. Is that your line of work now, basically giving back to the electronic music, or is it still... sort of, you still going to be you out there DJing, or where's your point of thoughts with all this?
Yeah, well, DJing is still a strong part of my identity and who I am, and I am very fortunate to have a weekly radio show where I have a platform that I can express myself musically and have a voice. I'm still doing shows and gigs here and there, but I guess my desire to, play all around the world and hold, residencies, a bit like that Bora Bora period, those days are a little bit behind me. But yeah, again, I'm very grateful to share lineups and do some quality shows here and there. But yeah, what you've sort of outlined, I guess there was again another sort of watershed moment where I felt it was time to pay it forward and give back, my experience and what I've learned along the way of 3 decades of learning as a DJ and a producer and working in the music industry and in Ibiza, and to give that back to other artists and performers and up-and-comers.
There's a lot of knowledge there. There's 3 decades of knowledge playing in all the super clubs in Ibiza. playing in the UK and around the world. 15 years as a touring DJ in Asia, South America. It's a pretty expansive career.
Yeah, I guess it's something, a well or a pool to draw from, and
Absolutely.
and it's sort of
Absolutely.
something that hopefully, as I said, I always work on doing it to my best of ability, but as I said, to pay it forward, to give that back, to inspire others, to encourage them to, if their dream is to, go from Adelaide, South Australia, to playing in Ibiza with your hero Carl Cox, it is possible, and I want people to understand that, and it especially help those who desire to do that.
I think it's really important. I think the industry needs more people like that. They're willing to step forward and give their story, but also from a position of, not like, hey, look what I did, but a position of like, this is how I did it, and this is, this is my experience. And it's important to hand those, you hand experience down in every other sector. So why not do it in electronic dance music? I think it's really important to have those people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing to point out a little bit with that, which is an interesting one that we could probably thrash around for quite some time, is I have been asked in interviews and things before in the past, like, is there a formula of being successful or ticking that box of going from the Adelaide, South Australia to Ibiza? And the simple answer is not really. I think you have to find your own way, but there are things that you can do right, which are good to understand. But I realized over some time, as you probably have as well yourself, that the journey can be very specific to you, but there are certain key steps you can take to make your chances work better. But there is no magic formula.
Yeah, for sure. And how is your time now as a coach, as a teacher, as a mentor? How does that feel, giving back to younger students, younger DJs, producers? How is that feeling, to be giving back to the
great question.
The industry you love?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I'm extremely grateful for it. I get to work with, inspiring artists and producers. They're sharing their art with me. I'm getting to listen to that art often a lot before other people do. As I said, I can only think positive words about it. As I said, and I feel very grateful to be in that position. To be able to assist others on their journey and be a part of that. And I can think of already proud dad moments along the way there, where I'm super proud now of somebody who achieves, the success thereafter, whether it's chart in Beatport, whether they achieve, some dreams and goals, and I've had a small part in that, whatever that may be. It makes me feel very proud.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you, first of all, because my first ever EP, 4-track EP, was released on Beatport. You obviously guided me through that. You was giving me lessons as well, and it got to #1 on Beatport, which is incredible. So if anybody's out there thinking about getting Heath on board, then certainly do it, because this guy knows his... excuse my language, and he's been outstanding friend and a mentor to me as well. So anybody out there thinking about getting production lessons, go and see Heath, because all the stuff in the box, there's nobody knows more than you really that's taught me.
Well, thank you, mate. I mean, as I said, it was an extreme privilege to jump in, and for you,
the proof is in the pudding,
for you to share your art with me. As I said, that's not necessarily an easy experience for many, and to be a part of that, and to be guiding you and being inside that music project. As I said, it's difficult to put into words in some ways, but as I said, I'm often listening to music and art from people that is still in that private space, like it's still in your own artist space. Very private, and it is very private, and living and breathing all of that myself. I have a huge respect and understanding of what that means, how precious it is, how we need to be thinking the right way. So as a coach, it's a lot more than just the technical side of things. It's why I sort of reframe things a little bit over time, and see more what I do as coaching. We talk about life, we talk about all the different things that create and affect and inspire music, not only the technical. Okay, in Ableton I can show you everything you want to know. It's all the whole thing coming together.
I mean, I can see straight away the passion for it, and I can see that you're talking about the joy that you're getting from it as well. And I should imagine your students are getting, same as me, are getting joy from it as well. You have a release out that's just come out a few days ago.
End of January. I think time flies pretty quick, but not long ago.
And what label is that on? Self-release or?
Self-release. So yeah, just trying a little bit. Things have changed, times have moved,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
obviously we're in a period now where, yes, releasing music on your own platform or developing your own labels is absolutely a fair game. So yeah, just wanted to clear out my hard drive a little bit. There's a lot of music on there that hasn't seen the light of day, and I think my hard drive would appreciate having a bit less stress on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And
sure.
just wanted to put some, of the music that I've done over months and years out there.
The world needs to hear your music more. How would you define your sound right now?
Well, I think sort of, DJing and production wise, I'm drawn to a melody. I'm drawn to a harmony and a melody and an emotion in my music. So if I was to pull out two parts, I'd say groovy and melodic. I like grooves. I'm making musics that I would DJ myself and play in a club. So there's the element of rhythm and kinetics and feeling, and at the same time, I love music that switches on your mind and gives you an emotion.
Sure. Same as me. If I'm not feeling it, then I'm not. It's going to go in the bin, basically. Or as you say, store it on the hard drive.
Store it on the hard drive.
Obviously, you signed to Tool Room, Yoshitoshi Recordings. Any sort of labels coming up for you, releasing music on any labels?
Not at this point in time. As I said, just trying out a little bit of self-release. I understand, as I said, that the goalposts have moved a little bit. I think actually when we talk about some of those labels and how they're currently sort of working in the modern day, it's changed an awful lot. So a lot of them are sort of developing artist projects and doing different things. So yeah, just having a little experiment there. But it doesn't mean that with the self-release, doesn't mean that I've given up aspirations to also put out something on Innovisions or something like that. But a time and a place, connections, lots of things to go fall right for that to happen. But yeah, always dream your dreams. And
sure. Yeah. Well, you're a perfect example of that. What can we expect from Heath in 2025? Anything coming up on the horizon, work-wise, production, coaching, for the summer season, gigs? Anything coming up?
A bit early to put a huge forecast over the year, but in 2024 there was some nice collaborations, work partnerships, and I think most of those will be picking up and rolling again. There will be releases, more, as I said, there's plenty on that hard drive to keep putting out, but I won't be saturating the market with tunes. Also, when you do self-release, as you would only know too well as a label owner and producer, there's a lot of work in the promotion and publicity to make sure things get traction. But yeah, I'm looking forward to my weekly radio show, putting out some releases, working with lots of the beautiful humans I get a chance to work with, particularly with the coaching, the artists. I've got, people that I'm fortunate to work with that really show a lot of promise in many areas, including yourself. And I'm looking forward to the journey and watching all their journey in electronic music unfold. I'm also very busy sort of sharing as much as I can to everybody. So obviously talking about artists and performers that I'm working with in my coaching space, I'm also on YouTube every weekend doing live streams of electronic music from zero. So I'm starting
a track from completely nothing.
No scripting.
Great.
And I've developed a few series over that time which will be repeated. I've had my community tell me that they want a track feedback stream. So it's starting to build a nice space there, and I enjoy being on YouTube.
Sure.
And I want to grow that.
Nice.
Give back, as I said, again,
giving
forward.
Back. Pay it forward.
Yeah, there's over last year, 2024, there was 45 live streams, 2 hours long. So if we do the maths, there's
plenty of meat in there.
90 hours of stuff you can consume, from arranging a track to starting the idea from zeros. Like some of the tracks I do, and then I take it through all the steps. So it's 4 weeks in a row. Week one, the music idea, and then the arranging, and then maybe even the mixing.
Sure. I'm right in saying that you also teach DJs.
Yes, I mean, that is a part of my background. Obviously, I can,
as well as the production stuff.
Absolutely, I mean, I have a background of working with Point Blank Music School as an instructor, and generally, actually, I prefer to do the production side of the courses, but absolutely I've stepped in, and I'm very happy to cover anything in vinyl. In the DJing
side. On vinyl.
Absolutely. Vinyl mixing for me actually would be a real pleasure to teach people.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been amazing to sit here and have a quick chat with you about everything that's going on in Heath Holme's world. You've had an incredible career over 30 years, 35 years. The career's not stopping. The brakes are still off. You're giving back to a community that you love. That's given you so much as well. I just want to thank you on behalf of myself and other students that you have. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for just being a great guy and just, and just being all about music, because that's what it's all about in the end. There's no ego. It's just about the music. And, I just think that, there's people out there that could really, get a lot of help from yourself with the experience that you've got. So just thanks, man. Do you know what I mean?
Well, a big thank you to you. As I said, it's a real pleasure that we were able to sort of bring this together and find a nice weather window, sit in front of an iconic location such as Esvedra. So a big thank you to you. And obviously, it's a real pleasure to be on up close and interpersonal. And I hope your audience and listeners and followers enjoy our conversation.
I'm sure, mate.
And as I said, it's been great to be a part of your development and journey and watching you, with your music and sharing moments. And this conversation, I think, is about 30 minutes long. We could talk for days and hours.
30 days, probably.
Probably without problem.
Yeah, no doubt.
The passion you have for your music and your DJing, likewise, it shines through in spades. There's nothing that either of us share in the sense of a motivation to probably even have started beginning this because we thought, we'll turn that into a career. It's all evolved. It's all happened. It's evolved from a passion for electronic music and Ibiza and DJing and then everything else.
It's in your blood, man. I mean, electronic music for me is just in me, like it is you. And a lot of people, and I guess that's why we came here, because it attracted us in the first place.
I think that's really important, because I think when we were talking before, you mentioned something about, it came up about being a career DJ, and was that a choice? For me, absolutely not. I never sat there and sort of put a line on a piece of paper or wrote down and said, that's what I'm going to be doing. It's more sort of like you try things out and see, is Ibiza for you? Can you do that? Can you take your DJing and play professionally and rock a group of people and have some of the opportunities I have? And as I said, massive gratitude to all of that. And something I just wanted to say as well on the topic of DJing is that it's a real privilege and honor to play music for other people, whether you're an hour on the radio or in public in an event, because you're essentially feel a bit of responsibility as a DJ. You're essentially perhaps taking someone from a very crappy day at work or a long, hard week where they've been working. They're in front of you on your dance floor, and you're lifting them out of that mood and taking them somewhere else. That's incredible. It's
a privilege. It
is a privilege. Or you're putting the sun to bed in Ibiza.
Yeah. And it's actually a nice thought as well, as a DJ doing it. Yeah. What else would you?
I mean, if I give you a call tomorrow and I said, Ian, do you mind putting the sun to bed in Ibiza, in Cafe Del Mar or Cafe Mambo? I don't think the answer's going to be no.
Yeah.
And what a privilege that is. You get to switch up your music and think about, I'm going to make a soundtrack for the sun going down. I mean, I've had the opportunity to do that. That matters as much as rocking a big
to dig for music just for that experience is just something
incredible. The opportunity.
Thank you, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to head back now to the pool area. What can we expect from your set today or tonight even?
Let's see. There's probably going to be a few twists and turns, but I think, if I was, again, you asked me a little bit back there about the sort of sounds. I think melodic and groovy, a proper trip, proper journey, galactic, cosmic, something for the mind as well as the we could use that phrase, mind, body and soul. But I like, my radio show, by the way, has the name Neural Circuits. I like the idea. I take it as a compliment when someone says that really activated your mind.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think actually,
I love your show, Neural Circuits. It's on 9:00 every Monday. Ibiza Tuesday. Sorry,
to interrupt.
Yeah, Tuesday every Tuesday in Ibiza 9:00. Get amongst it and listen, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the set. Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Awesome.
Parola protratta, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero profondo, parola protratta, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino, pensiero, profondo, parola, protratta, ritratto, promessa, ritorno, protetta, trascino.
years, dancing is all I want to do.